In the quiet suburbs of Dearborn, Michigan, where a close-knit Muslim community thrived on shared traditions and familiar faces, the Hassan family stood as a model of success and stability. To neighbors and friends, Tariq and Samira Hassan were the picture of an accomplished, harmonious family, embodying both cultural values and modern life with ease. But beneath this polished exterior, a darker story lingered, ready to shatter the facade. When Tariq was found brutally murdered in his own garage, the gruesome discovery shook the entire community to its core, unraveling secrets that had remained buried for far too long. As investigators peeled back the layers of Tariq's seemingly perfect life, they uncovered a shocking betrayal, one that lay tangled within the fabric of the family itself. At the heart of this storm stood Samira, a dutiful wife and mother, whose hidden affair with her husband's own brother, Zaid, would reveal a web of lies, betrayal, and shattered trust. The revelation left everyone wondering who was truly to blame for Tariq's tragic fate. Thank you for joining us on this journey into a case that will make you question just how well we ever truly know those closest to us. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're intrigued, and let us know where you're tuning in from. As we dive deeper into the Hassan family's tale, remember, appearances can be deceiving, and even the most idyllic lives may hide devastating truths. In the suburban enclave of Dearborn, Michigan, at the core of a tightly woven Muslim community, the Hassan family was viewed as a beacon of stability and achievement. Locals recognized Tariq Hassan as a committed professional, fully immersed in his engineering career, and deeply loyal to his wife, Samira, and their two young children. Their life seemed idyllic, a representation of traditional values seamlessly blended with modern life. Yet, as often happens, appearances can be misleading. When Tariq was discovered brutally murdered in his own garage, the crime sent shockwaves throughout the community. The investigation revealed an unsettling truth hidden beneath their seemingly flawless life. The Hassan family harbored a secret poised to unravel their entire world. At the center of this storm was Samira Hassan, a 29-year-old wife and mother who had been leading a double life. Her affair with her brother-in-law, Zed, unveiled a tangled web of deception and betrayal that no one could have anticipated. And once the dust finally settled, the devastating truth left the community questioning who truly bore responsibility for Tariq's tragic end. I'm so glad you could join us at the start of this story. Don't forget to like this video to support our work, and let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from. From the outside, everything about the Hassan family seemed picture-perfect. Tariq Hassan, 35, had worked diligently to build a comfortable life for his family. He had relocated to Dearborn from Cairo over a decade ago, drawn by a career opportunity that allowed him to establish himself as an engineer in the auto industry. With a well-paying position and a supportive network of fellow Muslim immigrants, Tariq succeeded in creating a secure, stable home for his wife and children. Samira, 29, had married Tariq at the age of 20 in a marriage arranged by their families. At that time, she was hopeful, trusting in the stability and respect that life with Tariq promised. For years, their marriage appeared solid, at least outwardly. Samira dedicated herself to her children and their household, managing everything while Tariq worked long hours. Their kids, still young at 5 and 7, filled her days. However, unseen cracks were beginning to form in their marriage. Over the years, Tariq's dedication to his work intensified, and with each new project, he spent increasingly more time away. The emotional distance between them grew as his focus shifted entirely to his career. Samira tried to stay patient, reassuring herself that he was working for their family's future. But the long, lonely days started to wear her down. She missed the closeness they once shared, the late-night conversations, the laughter, the sense of connection. Now their interactions had dwindled to logistical discussions about the kids, bills, and schedules. When Tariq came home, he was often too exhausted to connect, retreating to his office or dozing off on the couch. Samira felt invisible. The emotional emptiness left by Tariq's absence continued to grow, leaving Samira yearning for something more. She longed to feel wanted again, to experience the passion that had long since vanished from her marriage. She never imagined that this desire would set her on a path that would ultimately unravel everything she had worked to build. Enter Zaid Hassan, the younger sibling of Tariq. At 31, Zaid embodied traits his older brother lacked. He was spontaneous, magnetic, and full of surprises. While Tariq had chosen a steady, conventional career, Zaid opted for an alternative path. Working as a freelance photographer, he spent his days moving from one assignment to another, embracing a lifestyle that offered him far more liberty than his brothers. Their relationship was layered and complicated. Tariq, the ever-responsible older brother, had often been the one to pull Zaid out of tight spots when his adventurous choices led to trouble. Yet, despite their contrasts, they managed to stay close, at least outwardly. Zaid's regular visits to the Hassan home became a staple. He was the playful uncle to Tariq and Samira's children, his spirited personality making him a beloved figure within the family. Samira and Zaid quickly formed a connection through shared passions for art, literature, and music. Zaid's relaxed, easygoing nature was a stark departure from Tariq's no-nonsense, business-centered approach to life. While Tariq was often emotionally unavailable, Zaid was fully present, receptive, and engaging. What started as casual chatter gradually deepened into something much more significant. Late in the evenings, after the children were tucked into bed and Tariq remained absorbed in his work, Samira and Zaid would find themselves chatting for hours in the living room. They laughed about memories, exchanged stories of their aspirations, and discovered an increasing closeness day by day. Samira found in Zaid the emotional bond she had been missing with Tariq. Zaid listened to her, empathized with her frustrations, and made her feel acknowledged in a way her husband no longer did. The unspoken attraction between them grew steadily, becoming a quiet tension they dared not confront, until one night it became impossible to ignore. That night seemed like any other. Tariq had left early for a business trip, and Zaid had offered to stay the night to help Samira with the kids. After they were asleep, Samira and Zaid settled on the couch to watch a movie, though neither was truly focused on the screen. The energy between them was electric, the air thick with unspoken yearning. Samira's heartbeat quickened as Zaid's arm brushed lightly against hers. It was an innocent touch, yet it sent a pulse of electricity through her. She looked at him, her pulse racing. Zaid met her gaze, his expression a mix of longing and uncertainty. They had danced around this moment for weeks, and now it was upon them. Without a word, Zaid reached out and softly took her hand. The room seemed to close in around them, the world outside fading into silence. Samira's breath caught as Zaid leaned in, his lips touching hers in a gentle, hesitant kiss. That kiss was like a spark igniting a fire that had long been dormant. In that instant, all of Samira's doubts, fears, and guilt melted away, replaced by an overwhelming passion she hadn't felt in years. She returned his kiss, and the rest of the world disappeared. That night marked the onset of their affair. In the days and weeks that followed, Samira and Zaid's relationship grew even more profound. They met whenever possible, stealing time alone while Tariq was busy at work or traveling. The secrecy surrounding their relationship only amplified the intensity of their connection. It was exhilarating, risky, and utterly addictive. But with each stolen kiss and each concealed encounter, the weight of their deception grew heavier. Samira knew that what she was doing was wrong. She knew she was betraying not just her husband, but her faith and family, yet she couldn't bring herself to stop. Zaid filled an emptiness within her that had been expanding for years, and the thought of letting him go felt unbearable. Still, despite the excitement and passion, Samira was constantly tense. Each time she saw Zaid, she dreaded being caught. Each time she faced Tariq, the guilt gnawed at her, a persistent reminder of the life she was unraveling. She was cautious, deleting messages, dodging calls when Tariq was around, but as their affair continued, it became harder to keep everything hidden. And what Samira didn't realize was that Tariq was beginning to suspect something was seriously wrong. Though Tariq's attention was largely focused on his career, he wasn't entirely oblivious to the changes in his wife's behavior. He noticed Samira had grown increasingly distant in recent months. She was more secretive with her phone, often leaving the room to take calls or quickly locking her screen whenever he came came near. She also seemed distracted during their rare family moments, her mind seemingly elsewhere. Initially, Tariq brushed aside his suspicions, attributing Samira's behavior to the demands of managing the household and taking care of their children while he was occupied with work. But as the weeks passed, the small, seemingly insignificant details began to accumulate. Samira had started dressing differently, with more care and deliberation. She seemed more invested in her appearance, something she hadn't prioritized in years. Tariq's suspicions grew, eating away at him. He had always trusted Samira completely, yet now he found himself doubting her every action. He began observing her more closely, searching for any signs that might confirm his fears. He noted how frequently her phone vibrated with messages, how she would glance at it and then quickly set it aside, a guilty expression briefly crossing her face. One evening, while Samira was in the shower, Tariq's curiosity got the best of him. Her phone was lying on the nightstand, the screen lighting up with a notification. Initially reluctant, Tariq picked up the phone, feeling a pang of guilt for invading her privacy. But as he unlocked the screen, his worst suspicions were confirmed. There, in plain sight, was a message from Zaid. The words appeared innocent at first glance, but the context was undeniable. It was an affectionate message laced with subtle innuendo and references to their secret meetings. As Tariq scrolled through their conversation, the full depth of the affair became painfully obvious. His wife, the woman he had cherished and trusted for years, was having an affair with his own brother. Tariq's heart thudded in his chest as waves of fury, pain, and betrayal overwhelmed him. His entire world had been upended, and the rage that tore through him was unlike anything he had ever experienced. The realization that his wife and his brother had betrayed him in such a personal, intimate way was unbearable. He felt an intense, burning desire for vengeance. Yet Tariq was not a man driven by reckless impulses. He was deliberate, strategic. He knew he had to confront them, but he needed time to absorb the full weight of what he had just uncovered. In the following days, Tariq seethed with controlled anger, carefully plotting how he would reveal their deceit and seek retribution. Let's take a moment to reflect. What do you think about this story we're discussing? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and thank you for joining us. After a week, Tariq's anger could no longer be contained. The thought of Samira and Zaid together, of the lies they'd spun and the betrayal they'd committed, was more than he could endure. Late one night, after the children were asleep, he confronted Samira. The argument erupted into a furious exchange. Tariq's voice dripped with venom as he accused her of the affair, demanding the truth. Samira, shocked by the sudden confrontation, initially tried to deny it. But when Tariq showed her the messages on her phone, there was no point in pretending anymore. She broke down in tears, admitting to the affair and begging Tariq for forgiveness. She attempted to explain how lonely she had felt, how overlooked she had been, and how Zaid had filled an emptiness within her. But her words only stoked Tariq's anger further. He accused her of destroying their family, of humiliating him, and of betraying everything they had built together. The argument intensified, with Tariq threatening to reveal the affair to their families and the community. He told Samira that she had shattered his life and would pay for what she had done. Samira, terrified by what Tariq might do, pleaded with him to keep the affair hidden, to consider the children and the devastation that would follow if the truth came out. But Tariq was beyond reasoning. His anger was overwhelming, his feeling of betrayal too raw. The confrontation ended with Tariq storming out of the house, leaving Samira in tears, uncertain of what would happen next. The night of the murder was disturbingly still. Samira tried to calm herself after the explosive confrontation with Tariq, but the tension in the air was thick and unyielding. She went to bed with her mind racing, uncertain about what her husband's next move would be. Would he reveal their secrets to their families? Would he go through with his threats to destroy their lives? Sleep was elusive. Every noise in the house made her jump. Every creak of the floorboards filled her with dread. Eventually, exhaustion overtook her, and she drifted into a restless slumber, unaware that, Downstairs in the garage, her husband was facing a violent end. It wasn't until early morning that Samira woke up, her heart racing for reasons she couldn't yet understand. The house was hauntingly silent. She rose and walked down the hallway, her feet cold against the wooden floors. A strange sense of dread crept over her as she descended the stairs. Something felt terribly wrong. Entering the garage, the sight that greeted her was beyond anything she could have imagined. Tariq's lifeless form lay crumpled on the floor, a dark pool of blood spreading around him. His head had been brutally beaten with what looked like a heavy tool, a wrench or maybe a hammer. Samira's scream shattered the early morning silence, her mind struggling to grasp the horror in front of her. In shock, she dialed 911, her voice barely coherent as she attempted to explain the situation. The operator's calm, professional tone contrasted starkly with the panic coursing through her. All she could manage to say was, "He's dead. My husband is dead," over and over again. Within minutes, the police were on the scene. Detective Amanda Price, a veteran investigator with years of homicide experience, took a single look at the scene and understood this was not a random act. There were no signs of forced entry, and nothing appeared to have been taken. The sheer savagery of the murder suggested something intensely personal, a crime born out of anger and betrayal. As the paramedics confirmed Tariq's death and began their assessment of the scene, Detective Price's focus turned to Samira. Her initial shock and grief seemed authentic, but Price had encountered enough cases to know that initial impressions seldom told the full story. In the hours following Tariq's death, Samira was taken to the police station for questioning. Her shock and sorrow were unmistakable, yet as Detective Price dug deeper into the dynamics of the couple's relationship, inconsistencies began to emerge in Samira's account. Samira told detectives that she had gone to bed early the previous night, worn out by the emotional clash with Tariq. She insisted she had no idea who could. Samira's responses grew vague and inconsistent. The affair with Zaid came to light almost immediately, and Samira reluctantly admitted to it, understanding that hiding the truth was no longer an option. She explained how neglected she had felt by Tariq and how Zaid had provided her with comfort and companionship. But she insisted that the affair had nothing to do with Tariq's death. Despite her tearful denials, Detective Price was unconvinced. The timing seemed far too coincidental, and aspects of Samira's behavior during questioning raised several red flags. She appeared evasive, her emotions shifting unpredictably from sorrow to defensiveness. Price had seen this behavior before. The guilt of a spouse entangled in a murder, trying to cover up their involvement. Yet, there was one issue. Samira had no clear motive to kill Tariq. Yes, she had been unfaithful, and their marriage was strained, but there was no financial gain or violent history that suggested she had premeditated his murder. Detectives began to consider if another person might be involved. As the investigation progressed, attention turned toward Zaid Hassan, Tariq's younger brother and Samira's lover. Zaid had been conspicuously absent since the murder, and his sudden disappearance only heightened detectives' suspicions. They speculated that Zaid, possibly driven by jealousy or fear of being discovered, had attacked Tariq in a fit of rage and fled afterwards. Detective Price and her team started tracing Zaid's activities in the days leading up to the murder. Witnesses reported seeing Zaid in a heated argument with Tariq just days before his death, a confrontation that had escalated significantly. This argument had taken place outside a local cafe, and although no one had heard the specific words exchanged, it was clear that tensions between the brothers had reached a breaking point. The detectives also uncovered text messages exchanged between Zaid and Samira on the night of the murder. In these messages, Zaid voiced his frustration about the situation, telling Samira he couldn't keep living a lie. He hinted that things couldn't stay as they were, that something had to change. The message was cryptic, but detectives saw it as a potential motive for murder. Despite their intensive search, Zaid remained elusive. His phone was switched off, and his apartment appeared abandoned. Friends and colleagues reported that they hadn't seen or heard from him since the night of Tariq's death. As days turned into weeks, Zaid emerged as the primary suspect in the case, and the police launched a full-scale search to bring him in. Just when the investigation seemed to be hitting a wall, a fresh lead surfaced. A neighbor came forward with information that would reshape the case's trajectory. On the evening of the murder, this neighbor had observed a man leaving the Hassan residence around 10 p.m., a few hours before the estimated time of Tariq's death. The man's description matched Zaid, yet the timeline didn't fit. Forensics had concluded that Tariq was killed between midnight and 2 a.m. If Zaid had indeed departed by 10 p.m., he couldn't have been present during the murder. This new detail threw the investigation into disarray. If Zaid hadn't killed Tariq, then who had? Detectives were compelled to reevaluate their theories. Had another person entered the house after Zaid left? Could Samira have been involved in a more direct way than initially suspected? Or was there an unknown third party at play, someone they hadn't yet considered? With the investigation taking a new turn, detectives began exploring alternative suspects. They revisited the crime scene, searching for any missed evidence that might indicate another person's involvement. Then, as the inquiry continued, an astonishing new lead emerged. One none of the investigators had expected. Surveillance footage from a gas station near the Hassan home revealed a familiar figure meeting with Samira just hours before the murder. It was Ibrahim Mansour, a longtime family friend and a constant figure in the Hassan household. Ibrahim had always been close to both Tariq and Samira, but what no one knew was that he had secretly harbored feelings for Samira for years. His friendship with the family had granted him access to their personal lives, and over time, his fondness for Samira had grown into an unhealthy fixation. He had watched from the sidelines as her marriage with Tariq faltered, convinced that one day she would turn to him. Upon discovering the affair between Samira and Zaid, Ibrahim's obsession darkened into anger. In his mind, Tariq was the main barrier keeping him from Samira, and Zaid had taken advantage of her weakened state. Ibrahim felt deeply betrayed by both brothers and came to view Tariq's murder as the only way to eliminate the obstacle standing between him and the woman he believed should be his. Presented with the overwhelming evidence, Ibrahim confessed to the murder, and his account was chilling. On the night in question, he had confronted Tariq in the garage, revealing that he knew about the affair. The confrontation quickly escalated, and in a fit of rage, Ibrahim seized a wrench and brutally bludgeoned Tariq. But his admission didn't end there. He revealed he'd been planning the murder for weeks, carefully designing it to implicate Zaid. He anticipated that Zaid's sudden disappearance after their argument would make him the prime suspect, hoping that, with both Tariq and Zaid out of the picture, Samira would finally turn to him. Yet, his plans were based on a delusion. Samira had never returned his feelings, and his obsession had led him to a monstrous crime. Ibrahim was arrested and charged with premeditated murder, but the damage was already done. The Hassan family, once so united, was now fractured by betrayal, jealousy, and bloodshed. Zaid, who had been hiding out in a neighboring state, eventually returned to Dearborn and was cleared of all charges. However, his life lay in ruins. The affair had severed his ties with his family, and he broke contact with Samira, unable to face the disgrace. Estranged from his community, he left town, disappearing without closure or solace, leaving behind damaged relationships and painful questions. As for Samira, her world lay in tatters. While she hadn't participated directly in Tariq's murder, her affair with Zaid had set the tragic events in motion. She was ostracized by her community, abandoned by those closest to her, and left alone to rebuild a life that now felt beyond repair. Eventually, she moved away from Dearborn, searching for a fresh start, yet the weight of her past trailed her wherever she went. The story of the Hassan family was one marked by betrayal, envy, and ruin. Samira's affair had sparked a sequence of events leading to her husband's brutal death, but ultimately, it was Ibrahim's unrequited love that sealed Tariq's tragic fate. The case left a lasting mark on the community, a somber warning of the dangers of buried desires and their potentially devastating outcomes. None emerged unscathed. The Hassan family, once close-knit, lay shattered beyond repair, their dark secrets finally brought to light, leaving only sorrow in their wake. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories, and let us know your thoughts on today's case in the comments below.